Jesus.
Okay, so proposition. We're going to talk about the Joker, and when we reach the 30th second, we'll hit the button, and during the first 2 minutes, we'll talk about spoilers. And then fans then can already know that if don't want spoilers, they'll jump to the minute 2:30.
So you set the timer.
Yeah, I have the time right.
Then make sure.
3, 2, 1, go. Spoilers.
Jesus, I don't know where to start.
It was fucking amazing, but it would have.
That's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
that's not a spoiler. I love the way they transform the.
Yeah,
the
the
character.
involvement of he almost being the older brother to Bruce.
Yeah,
Jesus fuck.
and I love I actually think that maybe he is. Maybe he actually is, because on the scene where he goes to get the papers,
Yeah.
to see the adoption papers, there's the his face suggests that there are some
Similarities.
some things that don't add up,
Yeah.
and the way that I personally think that he perceives it is that the adoption doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he is so angry when Murray asks him
But I think
if he has
it's-
a problem with Thomas Wayne.
I think it's even if it's not the son, you'll just like be the greatest connection between the involvements of he always being around Bruce Wayne, just not for the power of the situation in money because he's going to be a rich boy. Is also the involvement of the past with the father.
Of course, obviously, but I think that's probably why he after the conversation he has with Thomas Wayne, and after discovering and accepting that he was adopted, he still has that grudge with Thomas Wayne when he is on the Murray show.
Yeah.
He still holds that grudge, and he publicly assumes that he has a problem.
Yeah.
And I love the way that the Waynes were murdered.
Yeah.
Very real,
Connected.
very real, very gruesome, very cruel. And I never expected to see a Batman origin.
Connected to the origin of Joker.
Yeah. And
Stop.
that's the 2 minutes.
And that's the 2 minutes. We should probably have chosen like 5 minutes. We talk just about one thing.
Well, I'm hoping that with this review, people are going to see it.
Yeah. Well, now spoiler free, and thank you for the dumb masses who listen to the spoilers. The movie is great. The amount of emotion.
I have a proposition.
The spectrum of the emotions in the movie. For me, it went from parts where I laughed and I was the only one laughing at the cinema, but like we talked.
The movie has small amounts of comedy.
Yeah.
And what I enjoy on the movie is that it's not a comedy that feels out of place.
Yeah.
And you are not a psychopath just because you're laughing at it.
Yeah.
Because the comedy is well
It's a dark
structured.
comedy.
It's a very dark comedy. Yeah. But
It's almost like the level of comedy someone would bring when he's not happy about life. And this is not a spoiler because you can see through the trailer.
yeah, it's
not
it's
happy.
common sense that
Yeah.
this is a broken man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into much detail on the story, but we can all understand that Arthur is a broken man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, on the first, maybe into the first 30 minutes of the movie, there's an incredible roller coaster of emotions, and some of these scenes are in the trailers. So these are scenes that I had already previously seen, but they were still a roller coaster of emotions. And into the first 30 minutes, there was a couple of tears, or that I shed, and I had never ever shed a tear
On a movie.
in a movie theater. The only movie that maybe made me shed a small tear was the third Godfather. At the end, when Michael dies.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that the third Godfather movie is the closing of a giant
Journey.
epic trilogy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if I had only seen the third Godfather, it would have the same
Effect.
effect. So when I noticed that myself, there was a couple of tears coming down. I was like, yeah, this is going to be very intense. This is, and it's not because I felt personally attached, or not.
Connected.
I wasn't feeling personally.
The shoes.
Yeah, I didn't put myself in the shoes, but I think that I'm an empathic person, and maybe that's why I was like, yeah, this. We can see that this is a broken man,
Yeah.
and the way that life. Well,
You don't have to have been through the same shit.
yeah, because
You just connect
the
enough.
the movie shows you perfectly.
All that feels like.
Yeah, you can feel it without having been, obviously, if you've been through something similar, obviously it's going to be even more intense, obviously, but you don't need to go through it. That's my understanding. And obviously the score, the music takes this movie to a whole different level. I think I've said this on my Facebook. Whoever's seen the Chernobyl miniseries on HBO will immediately recognize the work of Hildur something. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce her name. She's Icelandic. I can't pronounce her name. But will immediately recognize her work from Chernobyl on this movie. And I think that the way she crafts each music to perfectly fit the mood of every scene just helps the scene itself be even more
Epic.
emotional and epic.
Yeah.
And I never thought that a guy that is famous for directing comedies like Starsky and Hutch and the Hangover trilogy would be capable of actually directing something like
It's
this.
serious.
And 2000, now that I mention it, 2019 is being a surprise, because there's this phenom that Todd Phillips, who directed the Hangover movies, directs a movie like this. And then there's the guy that wrote Chernobyl miniseries. It's the same guy that co-wrote the second and third Hangover movies. So we are going for a treat.
Yeah. The makeup was fantastic. All the process with the makeup and the amounts that the moments where he is going into character. The laughing, it got even deeper. The meaning of the laugh of the Joker got a bigger meaning.
I got chills.
Yeah.
With the way he laughed.
Mostly his laugh was, as he talked about during interviewing Comic-Con, like with the press and fans, when Joaquin Phoenix was introduced for the role. He talked with the producer and said, how do you really want to put this character? And you, as you can see through the trailers, is like a sad laugh, like a laugh you're trying to do to escape the insanity of life.
Yeah, there's something very interesting, because
And
one can perceive his laugh as a
Yeah.
mental disorder.
yeah,
That's the first thing that comes to
And
a person's mind, but then you realize why he laughs like that.
yeah,
And
and then
the way
the
that
extra laughs and why
and
he's laughing.
the way that the story unfolds, you understand and you actually witness um, his descent into madness, and you midway through the movie, you don't know if you want to cheer or criticize him, because you're torn apart between a man and a psychotic character. That's the Joker.
Yeah, for me, always vote the psychotic.
You
Yeah,
You
I know-
understand
I
what
know
I'm
you-
trying
you
to
know what
say.
I'm saying.
and the Joker is one psychotic character. It's a twisted character. And I think that giving him a personal touch, a personal twist. I think that Todd Phillips still managed to handle the character very, very, very faithful to what he is in the comics. Yeah, he gave him a different backstory.
Yeah.
He gave him a different psyche, a different
Compared to
MO.
one of the compared to one of the origin stories that we know is the Red Mask, which then he fell on.
Who's the Red Mask?
There's a story of Batman to the beginning of. I'm confusing things.
That's a Death in the Family. That's where the Joker kills Jason Todd. The second
and
Joker.
originally,
He becomes the Red Hood.
yeah,
But
and the Red Hood
that's
becomes
Jason that becomes the Red Hood, not the Joker.
But the Joker was the Red Hood because of that mask before he fell to the acid.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Red Hood was.
I'm not sure if he is. I'm not sure if he is.
He was the guy that falls into the acid and becomes like that.
The Joker's first origin is that one.
Yeah,
But don't forget that Red Hood comes way after that.
yeah,
Because when the Joker falls into the acid, I think that's Batman who throws him down, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it's Batman.
but I think is when he was pretending to be. It was an assault and it was like kind of.
I have to go back to that comic.
I think it's in the part of the. We have to cut back, but I think there's a version of the backstory connected to the Red Hood. And this backstory development, this is basically a movie of backstory origin, and it's probably the best backstory origin ever.
Yes, it is.
Especially in terms of movies. And people always wanted, at least in the part of the consequences of the typical actions in comic books and comic movies and all that. You want to know how the villain was already there and destroyed the life of the hero, and the hero appears.
One of the criticisms for this movie was that the Joker works better as a character, having no backstory. To some degree, I agree.
Yeah, the mysticism.
But that works when he's paired against the Batman.
Yeah,
If he is paired against the Batman, I think that he works better having no backstory. Just go back to, for instance, Heath Ledger's
he
Joker.
already appears, and no one knows who the fuck he was.
He comes out of nowhere. He has contradictory origins.
Yeah.
First he mentions his father, then he mentions his wife. So that's he works better without a backstory if he is paired against the Batman.
Yeah.
On this case, I think that
There's
it
no
was since there is no Batman yet.
Yeah.
And obviously, if on this universe, on this Joker verse, if there was going to be a Batman, it would be older.
Yeah.
The Joker would be so much older than him.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into that because
Yeah.
that's that would be requiring to go into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But into this Joker verse, I think if the Joker just came out of nowhere, having no backstory, the character wouldn't work. That's what I think. And this is a comic book movie that doesn't feel like a comic book movie. This is, personally, I think, more of a psychological thriller. It's a psychological case study of a broken man, like I already said.
Yeah. What life does to the modern
And I
man.
think that DC Comics has tapped into an absolute gold mine.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they are willing to do The Trench, which is like related to Aquaman.
Yeah.
So I think
In the terms of, for example, the show Gotham, you don't really have the origin of Bruce Wayne, for example, but because he in the show is already his parents are already there, dead, if I remember
if
correctly.
I remember correctly, the first episode starts immediately after the death of the Waynes.
Yeah, and the funeral and all that. And you have like the origin stories for the Penguin, kind of the Catwoman and all that. And there were some bad things on the show, but what brought most of the fans to watch it was the accumulation of the backstories you weren't familiar with. And I think it was, like you said, a gold mine that Todd grabbed, introduced to DC Comics, and thankfully they went for the idea, and it's like you said, and I agree, the best movie of the fucking year.
I personally think it is. And if by the end of the year people ask me to make a review for 2019's music, movies, and TV, I will definitely, unless The Rise of Skywalker is something absolutely that if J.J. Abrams knocks Star Wars out of the park,
Yeah, maybe.
which I really don't think
It
that
will
it
happen.
will be that mind blowing.
Yeah,
I think that Joker will be my movie of the year, and I think that this movie will have the similar effect that The Exorcist had when it was released. It will change a lot of things in this genre of movie making.
Yeah, definitely. Not just for the psychological battle, but what films we have in psychological battle always end up in the Sunflower Sunshines.
Yeah,
This also does, but
on
in a
different
Joker
level,
way.
on a different level. And I yesterday I saw a news article that basically said that people are leaving the theater horrified halfway through the movie. And,
Watch a bust of pussies.
In a lot of places, they are actually calling for the screenings to be cancelled. And I was like, what did people expect? A Ronald McDonald looking clown that by the end makes everyone happy,
And you're just eating human flesh.
well, in the end, he kind of does make everyone happy.
Yeah,
But he is not Ronald McDonald. People need to understand what they are going to see.
but
I have
a lot
look,
of happy meals during the
look,
movie.
I have absolutely no problem with people that don't read comics going into comic book movies. Okay? I don't have a problem with that. I actually think they should. And I'm not a giant comic book nerd. I'm not. But I think they should go to these movies because they may discover some passion they didn't know they had. But they need to understand what character this is. This is a twisted character. The Joker is one twisted motherfucker. They need to understand who this guy is.
I think when, in terms of what you that news piece, if you're already introduced to the aspect of what you're waiting to happen. For example, if you have a new show on Netflix where you, for example, there's that new show, I'm probably going to say the name wrong. I think it's Unforgivable or something, which is basically it starts with a woman saying how she was raped, and then none of the things are they discover on the house, and then you have more of the trailer, and you actually see the story is going to be about women who were raped, people who didn't believe them because they then think they were lying, and then more cases appear throughout the America, and then they start to bring all the cases together because it would be a guy that was going to from state to straight to state. You're already expecting what the fucking the show is going to be about, and what you already kind of expect what the emotion is going to be. Now, the trailer of the Joker gives some information for the comic fans. Now, people who are not into the comics will have a surprise, and mostly are going to be disturbed because the trailer is kind of made for a type of public who already knows what it's going to be. It's not like the trailer was talking about the show of the Netflix.
The thing is, the Joker is a character that's widely recognized. Probably because of Heath Ledger, obviously, for the greater public. And because Batman is, I believe, the most famous comic book hero of all time. Maybe
the character is recognizable, but
maybe
not many people
Batman
know what the shit is.
Maybe tied with Spider-Man and Superman.
Yeah.
These three are probably the ones at the top. And the Joker benefits from this. So I think that the character itself is widely recognized. It's not like Iron Man or Captain America, which in some parts of the world, like for instance in Portugal, Marvel had to go big in advertising Iron Man
and
Captain America, because they were heroes that were not widely recognized outside of the United States. And even inside of the United States, they were probably most recognized by the comic book nerds. Nerds, well, between quotation marks. So the Joker benefits from this. What I think is that people just think, oh yeah, this is the Joker. Yeah, oh yeah, remember that Batman movie? Yeah, he's just like a terrorist.
Or you remember the old the movies with George Clooney?
No, it's the other one. Jack Nicholson is from the original Batman. With
it wasn't with George Clooney. No, George Clooney was with the Catman.
With Michael Keaton.
Catwoman, yeah. And Penguin and the Catwoman was the one with George Clooney.
Yeah.
But yeah, you remember the old version of the Joker, or you remember the already mad Joker, or you remember the Joker from Mark Hamill's time during voiceover.
Yeah.
This is an origin story, and it doesn't touch like the happy or this maniac happy or the maniac that you've seen already up to this point.
This is not a Joker that's a terrorist. This is a Joker that is a psychopathic broken man on the verge of destruction. So yeah, it's a different take.
I don't want to. I'm not saying. I'm thinking something, but I don't know if I should say it.
What?
To review.
It's a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler, but I think the comparison I would say would be spoilerific.
Oh, and then don't say it.
Yeah,
Just
I'll tell you. I'll
say
I'll
the spoiler.
discuss with you
to save
afterwards.
the spoiler. Yeah.
But I think that's it for the 10
So,
minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
Go watch the movie.
yeah, go watch the movie. This is easily
If you're afraid, don't go alone.
make sure that you go with an open mind, but be prepared to see a very deep and emotionally heavy movie, and there are some parts that are disturbing, and you need to have a strong gut.
And don't forget, put a smile on that face.
There is an amazing quote that he puts in his journal, but I'm not going to say because it's a spoiler. So
Yeah, that one.
so we will wait for you to see
Yeah.
it, and then we can open on our.
We should probably go for a coffee out with our friends in that bar that has the dinner part, and never one goes to the dinner parts when we talk about the movie.
just spoil it to the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we will wait for you guys to see it, and then maybe on our social
Because
media.
Just to finish, we have a group of friends. For those who don't know that group, we have a group of friends, and some are picky about the movie, and the most picky one liked the movie. So the movie is great. Just go by it.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah. That sums it up. Yeah.
We see a movie and we like the movie, and he's always complaining if the movie is not about
Yeah.
sci-fi or glorious scientific stuff.
Whatever. Yeah.
And he
whatever.
liked the movie.
Yeah.
So go watch the movie.
So yeah.
On that
make
note.
make sure you see it, and then if you guys enjoy it, we can open a spoiler thread on our social media.
Yeah.
So where we can all
And leave a
discuss.
smile on that.
Yeah, that's nice. Also, if you're listening to us for the first time, which may happen, if you're
It's a bad place to start.
maybe not. We are Coffee on the Dark Side. Our main content is a podcast dedicated to Star Wars.
Mostly.
So we are on all streaming platforms.
Just to correct you, it's Coffee on the Dark Side, but the subject of the podcast is Star Wars and things we'll talk during coffee.
yes.
To be more precise.
I stand corrected. So yeah, it's Star Wars and stuff we talk during coffee, but mainly Star Wars. We are on all streaming platforms, and we are on Facebook, Instagram. We have a Twitter, but we don't really use it. Maybe we should, but we don't, at least right now. So yeah, if you're into Star Wars, go into our podcast and leave. We hope you end up with a smile on your face. And yeah, that's all. Do you think? Do you have anything to add? There. That's it. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe. Click on the little bell to receive the notifications. Apparently, it's cool for people to say this. If you're watching on YouTube, it's cool. I think it's brings up the engagement or something. And leave us a comment down below, giving your thoughts on the movie. Spoiler free, spoiler free, preferably, so people who didn't see it don't get spoiled. And yeah, see you next week. Jesus, I can't speak today. See you next week, guys. Thank you so much.